In this teaching aid, we will be describing and demonstrating movements of the human body. Each movement begins from anatomical position. First, we will discuss flexion and extension at several joints in the human body, viewing Ashley in anatomical position from the right side. Flexion is a bending movement that decreases the angle between body parts. Extension is a straightening movement that increases the angle between body parts. To understand flexion and extension in your body, visualize that you are standing in a circle where 0 degrees is directly overhead, 90 degrees is in front of you, 180 degrees is in the bottom of the circle, 270 degrees is directly behind you, and 360 degrees is back at the top. Here, Ashley will demonstrate how flexion will decrease the angle of the elbow joint from 180 degrees to 90 degrees to 0 degrees. Let's look at flexion of the shoulder joint, the elbow joint, and the hip joint. Extension of these joints are demonstrated at the shoulder, at the elbow, and at the hip. Exceptions to this visual include the movement of the neck and the knee. Flexion of the neck looks like this. Extension looks like this. Flexion of the knee brings it to a posterior position, while extension returns the joint to anatomical position. Next, Ashley will demonstrate abduction and adduction. Abduction is movement of a body part away from the midline. Adduction is movement of a body part towards the midline. Let's look at abduction and adduction at a few different joints. At the shoulder joint, abduction, adduction. At the hips, abduction, adduction. And at the fingers, abduction, adduction. Circumduction is the movement of an appendage in a cone-shaped path. Circumduction can only occur at the shoulder joint and at the hip joint. Rotation is a movement that occurs as one body part turns on an axis. Ashley is showing us the rotation of the neck that occurs between the first cervical vertebrae and the second cervical vertebrae. Pronation is a rotation of the forearm that turns the arm from anteriorly facing to posteriorly facing. Supination is a rotation of the forearm that turns the arm from posteriorly facing to anteriorly facing. Opposition is a motion that brings body parts together. Opposition of the thumb is demonstrated here. Plantar flexion is flexion of the foot towards the ground at the ankle. Dorsiflexion is flexion of the foot away from the ground. From a standing position, Ashley demonstrates plantar flexion and then dorsiflexion. Moving back to an anterior view, Ashley will show us eversion and inversion. Eversion is turning the sole of the foot outward. Inversion is turning the sole of the foot inward. In this segment, we covered the osteological directional terms of the human body.